Okay, can you see my slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so for today, we are moving into the Indian philosophical traditions. No? Just an introduction. So if you would recall from our last lecture, hindi ko pa pala na, I haven't attached the links yet. No? But we'll do so. No? But for those who have attended, we are, last time we were talking about the early Islamic civilization, no, that have sprung up and spread throughout the Middle East, North Africa, and up to Spain, no, the Iberian Peninsula, even up to Central Asia. And we have mentioned that it has been built upon Greek foundations, Hellenistic foundations, and it has blended in the different knowledge traditions of its neighbors. So one of these traditions should be the Indian philosophical traditions, which we are now going to look at. Okay, for Indian philosophy, I would like to emphasize on how they how they gather knowledge, no? How they traditionally gather knowledge based on their philosophical system. Gathering knowledge is pramana, no? The term is pramana, and there are 6 of them. Okay, so broadly grouped, one would fall under direct cognition, and then the rest under indirect cognition. So one of them would be direct cognition, and that would be direct perception, and the other 5 would be indirect cognition. Okay, so let's go first to direct perception. Direct perception is observation. How you sense things, no? Using your own 5 senses is direct perception, which is classified under direct cognition. Yung observation na alam nyo. No? Halimbawa, you get information from a mug, halimbawa, no? You get the height, maybe the diameter, the circumference of the mug, and so on, maybe the volume, the amount of water present. So these are parts of your observation of the mug. And in this case, you are using primarily your sense of sight in getting information from this vessel. Okay, so that is direct perception. Sometimes, no, in some schools, so traditional Indian schools, direct perception is not limited just to the 5 senses. No? Kung minsan meron pa silang idinadagdag noon as yogic perception, no? This is just nice to know, no? Yung yogic perception. But at this level, no, to make things easier, no, at this level, it is sufficient to say that direct perception is observation as we know it, using our 5 senses. Okay, are there any questions so far? Questions with direct perception, the first pramana of Indian philosophy. Okay, none? Let's go now to indirect cognition. The first indirect cognition is inference. Alam nyo na rin yan, di ba? Because we have been talking about it even during our first lectures. Inference This would be reasoning or making conclusions, no, out of reasoning. No? A is if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, we can say that A is equal to C. Okay, so that is the one of the simplest way to do inference. Okay, next, verbal testimony. In Indian philosophy, they are not only limited to direct perception and inference, because science only limits its way of gathering information through direct perception, or as we should say it, observation, and also through inference or reasoning. Yan lang yung science. But in other knowledge systems, like in the Indian philosophical tradition, there are others. So direct perception, and then inference, and thirdly, verbal testimony. Ano naman yung verbal testimony? This is getting knowledge from an expert or an authority. Like your professors, diba? They would just tell you in a condensed form, no? Knowledge that you should be receiving. Instead of reading so many books, so many articles, it is the duty of the professor to distill the important points in these writings and then to share it to you. Okay, and this form of knowledge gathering, no, on your part is verbal testimony. But it is not only limited to people telling you some information, no? It can also be applied to textbooks that supply you with information. Your textbooks, for example, in the many disciplines that you are studying. Okay, these are also a form of verbal testimony. Okay, any questions? Questions kung ano yung verbal testimony? So not only persons but also written material. Maybe nowadays, kahit yung YouTube could also be a form of verbal testimony. An informative YouTube video is also verbal testimony. Okay, so these are examples of verbal testimony. The fourth one is analogy or comparison. In analogy, we want to make sure that what we are talking about is the one that is also being thought of by our speaker. No? Just to show that it is really the one. So we give examples. No? In a way, we give examples by showing comparisons. Example of verbal testimony, halimbawa, I know you are eating because I know you are eating and not sleeping because I have seen a person eating, and that is also what you are doing. Okay, just to show comparisons. Okay, hindi yata maganda yung ano ko, no, yung example ko, no, but as we move on, no, I will show you as we go briefly through the different Indian schools. We will be again going back to these kinds of examples. Okay, inference, verbal testimony, analogy, and comparison. Ang ilan na? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is non-perception. Okay, non-perception is generating information based on non-existence. Okay, based on non-existence. The fact that you cannot see anything or you cannot sense anything or nothing is there or is non-existence is also a form of information. Diba? For example, if a person has no food, it would inform you that he or she is hungry because he or she has no food. Okay? So that is one of the basis by which to generate or to produce information. Situation of non-existence. Or in this case, no, if a thing is non-existent, you cannot perceive it. So they also have called it non-perception. In the Indian context, oftentimes they use perception not only as a thinking or having an impression, no, the way we define it in our own context, but also sensing, no? Perceiving is sensing or using your senses, no? They also apply that term, no? The term perception on the use of the senses. Okay, so if you come across this thing in Indian philosophy, alam nyo na kung ano yung sinasabi nila. Okay, so non-perception. Finally, there is this way of getting information through postulation. You come up with explanations on how a phenomenon can possibly happen in a given circumstance. Halimbawa, sasabihin ko na naman, no? Balik na naman tayo dun sa kumakain. I am fat, but I will tell you and you can see it that I do not eat. I do not eat. And you can see it. No? I do not eat during the day. No? Oo nga, at you do not eat during the day, pero I do not see you eating at night. No? Baka kaya ka fat ay dahil hindi ka nga kumakain sa araw, pero kumakain ka naman ng marami sa gabi, no? At oras-oras. That is why you are fat. No? So you are informing me that you are fat. You are informing me that you are eating, especially the times when I am not seeing you. But you really did not say that you are eating at night. But based on your statements, because you did not exclude that, no, eating at night, I can say that you are fat because you may have been eating at night. Okay, yun yung tinatawag na postulation. Okay, are there any questions about this? Any questions so far? Okay, in addition, dun sa postulation, para mas maliwanag, we have at least two kinds of this, di ba? Halimbawa, okay, halimbawa, meron isang nanay, no? Sasabihin nila na I have a child and my child is not a girl. So granting na dalawa lang ang sexes, no? Wag muna tayo dun sa mga LGBTQ, no? Ano ang information na pwede nyong i-generate? Maiisip nyo na kung hindi yan, ano yung sinabi ko, kung hindi yan girl, the child may be a boy. Okay? If you are not X, you may be Y. In a situation when there could only either be an X or a Y. Okay, what if pumasok na yung konsepto natin ng LGBTQ? And again, the nanay would say that I have a child, but my child is not a boy. Ngayon magkakandara pa na kayo, no? Kasi kung nandun yung konsepto ng LGBTQ, and it is part of the, halimbawa, the language game, no, of that community, hindi lang girl yung pwede nyong isipin. There are many other possibilities. Okay? Nakuha ba yung idea ng postulation? Nakuha, yes or no?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So if you have any questions, just ask. Okay, so please remember this, ano, yung kung paano natin ginagawa itong anim na ito, no? From direct perception and then inference, verbal testimony, analogy, non-perception, and postulation, because these are the ways by which the different schools, no, of the Indian philosophical tradition gather their information. Well, a combination of this, sometimes omitting that or omitting this, and sometimes including this, sometimes all of these six, no, and so on. Okay, so just to give you a brief introduction to the schools of Indian philosophy. So these are the philosophical traditions founded on the Vedas. So the Vedas are the ancient scriptures of India, which is said to reveal the divine truths, no, to people. This Veda is a Sanskrit term for knowledge. Sometimes they would also refer to this as science, no? Veda. Vedas plural. Okay? Pero ang well, yung mga Indians kasi mahilig sa argument, no? Just like other people, no? And to a great extent, no? Kaya tayong halimbawa maraming different schools, no? Philosophical schools, is because of their disagreements, sometimes with one another. And this is true, no? With ancient India. So there are many schools within those that follow the Vedic tradition. And there are also some schools that have detached themselves from the Vedic tradition, although they still follow the same format, no? Whatever the other schools in Indian philosophy do or are structured into, they also show the same. Okay, so these schools are really what we call as well, religion, the religions of today, no? But technically these are philosophical systems. Although nowadays most people would like to view this as religious systems. So for example, we have the Orthodox schools, the ones that have followed the Vedas, no, or are based on the Vedas. So these Orthodox schools are the ones comprising the rubric or of the religious system that we are now calling Hinduism. Okay, the Orthodox schools. We have at least 6, no? The Samkhya, the Yoga, the Nyaya, the Vaisheshika, the Mimamsa, and then the Vedanta. There are also some schools that have formed because of their they have their way of philosophizing, and therefore do not agree much with the Vedas. So these are the schools of the Charvaka, the Jains, and the Buddhists. I think you're familiar with the Buddhists. Okay. So the Buddhists have already developed into their own philosophical system and is considered a religion nowadays. Same thing with the Jains, no? With Jainism. Now, the Charvaka is a school that lost its existence. No? But nowadays, they are trying to revive it. Okay? So, let's go first to the Orthodox schools. The first would be the Samkhya. How does the philosophical system of Samkhya look like? So reality is composed of two types. There is a consciousness known as the Purusha, and there are things other than the consciousness, which is the Prakruti. Simply put, no, as an individual, for example, you use yourself, no, as an example. Your consciousness, or you're being conscious about things, no, yourself as a conscious individual, you are the Purusha. And all other things outside your consciousness, the laptop or your cell phone, the room, your classmates, everything outside you would be the Prakruti. Okay? Purusha and the Prakruti. Kasi if we go to a higher level of consideration, if we look at it in a macrocosm, we could consider Purusha as the consciousness of a supreme being or God. God himself or herself is the Purusha. And all other things that are not God, yun ang Prakruti. Okay? So we have these two concepts, Purusha, the consciousness, and Prakruti, all other things outside the consciousness. No? The external world or the external world or the world outside you, the conscious being. So there is a duality. No? The duality is formed by these two. And it is the basis, no, of how the schools in Hinduism is structured. Okay, for Samkhya, valid knowledge is acquired through direct perception, inference, and verbal testimony. Okay? Are there any questions about Samkhya? Questions? If none, let's move on. Okay, because we are talking about science and technology, it is good that we know something about how the Indian philosophical system perceives the natural world, no? Or everything in the universe. And this could be seen in Samkhya, no? Which can be considered the basis of the other schools. No? So in Samkhya we have 24 elements. So aside from Purusha, there is the Prakruti, and then there is the higher mind. No? So this would be the human being, no? Outside God. No? If we consider God as the Purusha, everything would be Prakruti. So Prakruti first, and then from there lalabas na yung mga ibang components nito. Okay, so take note that just like in evolutionary theory, di ba? Just like in if we consider the evolution of elements, no, based on the periodic table, no, pwede nating gawing analogy ito nitong explanation ng Samkhya creation. So first there is Prakruti, and from that Prakruti, no, if you are talking about people and beings, diyan din magmumula yung higher mind, no, which is the second element, and then the ego, and then the mind. Okay, so in Indian philosophy, hindi lang iisa ang mind, no? Maraming klaseng mind. There is also the 5 basic elements, no? So just like among the Greeks, they have 'di ba, meron silang space, meron silang air, meron silang fire, and then they have water, and they also have earth. So those are the 5 elements among when the Greeks are asked. Ganun din dito sa Indians, no? The Mahabhuta are the 5 basic elements. So Maha means big. Okay? Big in Sanskrit, no? Bhuta means soul. Okay? If I'm not mistaken, yes, it is the soul. No? So the 5 basic soul or elements, no, that make up everything is the Mahabhuta. Okay? So Maha is big, no? Yung halimbawa yung isang literary piece, no, important literary piece ng mga Indians, yung ano yan, Mahabharata, 'di ba? Maha, how is it translated, no? What does it mean? Mahabharata. Maha is big, Bharat is of India or Indians, no? So if you translate it literally, it is Mahabharat or Mahabharata means Great India. No? And the next senses, no? The 5 senses. 5 senses, our 5 senses. And then sense organs, and then organs of action. Okay, see, these are the 24 elements that make up everything, no? In the Samkhya perspective. Also in the Orthodox perspective, no? Orthodox Indian perspective. Are there any questions, or have I explained it clearly? Malinaw pa? So your universe, yung material universe, basically would be here, no? Yung Mahabhutas, yung 5 basic elements. Because those 5 basic elements make up the human body, make up the sun, the moon, the earth, the trees, everything, no? Okay, so just to give you an idea of how they conceptualize thought, no? So for example, you are seeing a real tree through the organ of cognition. So for example, the eyes, that would be registered inside you as the thought of a tree, but it is not yet conscious, no? It is there, but it remains dormant. You need another apparatus to upload it into consciousness, and that is buddhi. Okay, buddhi. So these kinds of concepts, so, is also extended to other things in their philosophical traditions, like for example karma, no? Karma or the actions, no? Technically action, karma is action, no? The actions that you do, and they classify it as according to good and not so good, no? So the karma that you do have imprints, no? You might not be conscious of it. It might not manifest at once, but later on, it will. Okay? Ganon din yung ano niya, no? Yung logic behind that, no? Just like this diagram. Okay, the second school is the yoga school. Yoga technically means unite, no? To unite. Ano yung i-unite mo? Because we have that Purusha and Prakriti, di ba? That dual opposites. The objective is to unite them. So we have means like yoga. So uniting or binding Purusha and Prakriti. And now how do you do this, no? Before that, no? Ano ba yung examples natin ng binding Purusha and Prakriti? Maybe the best example would be binding yourself to the Supreme Being. Diba? You as Prakriti, binding yourself to the great Purusha. Okay? So this is one example. We want to make it non-dual. Huh? Yun yung objective nila, no? Pag-isahin. And this is achieved or this can be achieved through yoga. Now, when we talk about yoga, no, we are not just limited to, well, in the Indian philosophical tradition, we are not just limited to stretching, okay, yung payuko-yuko, and then uunat ka, no? Yung mga exercises, hindi lang ganun ang yoga. Okay. Yoga technically means action, no? Yun yung literal na ibig sabihin ng yoga. Action. And so we do things, no, in order to achieve this connection. So for example, karma yoga, we do good works. There is also bhakti yoga, we do devotion, no? So in the Christian, Catholic, both Catholic and non-Catholic traditions of Christianity, we also have counterparts of this, no? Well, to explain things clearer. Halimbawa, we do good things. Also like Bhakti Yoga, we do devotions. No? We pray. We worship in church. No? We worship God in church. Or some other places. No? And then Raja Yoga, we train the mind. Because many philosophers of their tradition would say that it is through the mind that we are liberated, no? Because it is the mind that directs everything, no? Every action, no? That we do, every word that we say, of course, every thought that we think, no? It is to the mind, and therefore we should train the mind. Maybe we can do meditation. Okay. Samadhi. Okay. And many other things, no? In order to achieve this unity. Now, for some, devotion is not enough. Doing good is not enough, but also you have to be wise, no? You have to gain knowledge. And this is Nana Yoga. Nana Yoga. This knowledge is not limited just to yung knowledge sa school, no? Your academics. It's not only limited to that, no? But you should also be knowledgeable about things around you, no? And in many cases about divinity. So these are the components, no, that make up the school of yoga. In the Indian tradition, no, minsan may away-away sila, no? But generally, they would suggest that it is up to you, no? How you would do things, no? Depending on your own comfort, maybe, on your own capability. You may do karma yoga, or you may do devotion, or if you can study, no, to gain knowledge, or you can train the mind, no, if you are inclined to do meditation. The third is niyaya. Now for niyaya, I would like to emphasize that valid knowledge is through direct perception, inference, verbal testimony, and analogy. Okay, so tatandaan nyo, no, sa niyaya. As an illustration, we have this. So in the Western setting, no, the kind of reasoning that we have in philosophy, halimbawa, no, in Philo 1, if A is equal to B and B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. That is the Aristotelian form of reasoning. But in the Indian traditions, like for example in Nyaya, and also in the Buddhist tradition, no, they share this. No? They are not just limited to A is equal to B, B is equal to C, A is equal to D. You should also show a comparison, an analogy. Okay, so where there is smoke, there is something burning. If the forest has smoke, therefore the forest is burning. I can say that this is so because I have seen that a house is burning and I saw smoke. Okay, so A is B. A is B because C, for example, D. Kaya ganun yung format ng kanilang reasoning. So the house is burning. The house is burning because it has smoke. Just like a forest that is burning because it has smoke. Okay? Now we go to the fourth one, which is Vaisheshika. Vaisheshika uses direct perception and inference. And the worldview, no, the substance that composes the universe, is similar to what we have been saying about Samkhya. Okay, so on existence, no, they have these kinds of concepts. You can say, for example, that an object, no, like a house, is existent because it is presently standing or it is there. If we say that the house has not yet been in existence, but the building materials are there, we can say that it is incipiently existing. But if the house has been gone, no, it was standing and it was gone, but the parts are still there, then we can say that it has subsidiary existence. So this is Vaisheshika. Pang-ilan na? Fifth. No? The fifth is Mimamsa. The Mimamsa is more of hermeneutics. When we say hermeneutics, more of an interpretation, no, especially of the scriptures. The way you would, well, not really like it to be, no? But the way it should be, it is supposed to be thought, no? It is supposed to be thought. So in here we have Vedic ritual apologetics. Now Mimamsa its components are also similar to those in Vedanta, which is the sixth one. Because Vedanta is a kind of mimamsa. Okay? Many see it as a form of mimamsa, no? Or a kind of mimamsa, but it developed its own life. Kaya naging Vedanta. No? And Vedanta is the culmination of these schools. No? So it has incorporated its tenets, but again, it has developed its own one. So based on the former lines of thought, no, of the other schools. So this is your foundation for the Hinduism you are seeing nowadays. No? When you talk about Hinduism, you are talking really about Vedanta, especially its most popular form, Advaita Vedanta. Okay? So Advaita Vedanta is non-dualistic, which means that nandun pa rin, no, yung aim to connect, no, to connect or to transform into one the duality between the Purusha and Prakruti. And it uses all the six pramanas, no, all of them are valid under Advaita Vedanta. Okay? Okay, so Advaita Vedanta posits that absolute reality or the one or the entity that they call Brahman exists as different forms. And when you speak of non-duality, no, ibig sabihin na pag-isa mo, no, they have this idea that everything is God, no? Or can be thought of as God, no? In a sense, no? In a sense. So I have this qualifier, no? Because it is not really totally correct to say that halimbawa the house is God or you are God, no? It should have a qualifier, no? And that prana is the cosmic life, no, force behind the causes of things. Okay, so do you have any questions with the Orthodox schools, the six Orthodox schools? Ito yung tinatawag natin na Hinduism na yun. Yung six Orthodox schools. If none, let us go to the heterodox schools or the Indian philosophical schools that detach themselves from the Vedas. And there are at least three. No? The first is the Charvaka. Here, direct perception is the only means by which to acquire knowledge. Ibig sabihin, pag hindi mo siya na-sense, then it is not valid knowledge. It cannot be inferred. Okay? It cannot be inferred. As if you cannot see it, then it is not valid. The nature of self is only how you experience it at the moment. No? Kasi nga, direct perception. No? And it extends to other aspects of their philosophies. We would postulate, for example, that there is no afterlife, that there is no God. No? Actually, lahat naman yung heterodox schools, no, are atheists, no, by nature. Whereas the Orthodox schools, at least almost all of them, no, not really all, but most of them argue for the existence of a supreme being or supreme absolute being. So the objective is to minimize sorrow and maximize happiness at the moment. So when you die, no, yun na yun, no, wala na, no? There is no afterlife. Now for Jainism, which is the second one, for Jains, they believe in an afterlife, although they do not believe in a supreme being. Okay. But because they believe in an afterlife, they would also do good, no? Actually, pati rin naman yung Charvaka, they would also do good, no? Kasi meron naman din yung kahihinatnan, no? In their present life, no? Or in their present form. Okay, so likewise, the Jains also have that attitude. And generally, these schools believe in karma, no? And that determines your afterlife. Some would believe that a soul is there that does the migration. The soul in Sanskrit is called Atman, A-T-M-A-N, no? Atman. So in the orthodox schools, the 6 schools, no, generally most of them believe in that, no, the presence or the existence of a soul or an Atman. But in the heterodox traditions, no, like Buddhism, they do not believe in the soul. The Jains have direct perception, inference, and verbal testimony as their pramanas. Okay? And what is peculiar about the Jains is that reality could be expressed in multiple ways, and there is no one way or absolute way of it. There can be multiple ways of it. Okay, hindi either or, no? Unlike the others. Lastly, Buddhism, no? I think this is the more popular one, no? Among the heterodox schools. So direct perception and inference only are the valid ways of getting information. No? Direct perception and inference. And like the Jains, they also emphasize on doing good, no? Because they believe in an afterlife. But they do not believe in a soul, no? They do not believe in an Atman, no? In the Atman, no? And therefore, the term is Anatman. Anatman meaning non-soul. Atman is soul in Sanskrit. Anatman is non-soul, no? Or no soul. And what migrates is the mind, no? That carries karmic imprints. Okay, so just nice to know, no? Buddhism advocates a middle way, a so-called middle way perspective. What does this mean? Pag sinabing middle way, there is no absolutism. Hindi katulad halimbawa ng ibang belief system that, for example, in the afterlife, when you die, you go to heaven, no? And you become God. You become absolute, nandun na, no? Or sometimes in case, if in the Charvaka case, no, you die, you would disappear, no? Yun naman ay nihilism. No? Hindi ganyan yung ina-advocate ng Buddhism. At least in the Mahayana tradition. Okay. There, this is the so-called middle way perspective. No? You avoid the absolutism and nihilism. Of course, when we look at the scriptures of Buddhism, so for example, when we look at the basic constituents of the universe, no, according to Buddhism, no, as embodied in their scripture, like the Abhidharma Kosha, you would see that it is similar to the ones held by the Orthodox schools, no? Like the Samkhya. Okay, fire, water, wind, earth, and also space. Okay. So how they perceive the world, no? Not only in terms of composition, but also of its dynamics are embodied in their scriptures. Okay, so not all of these scriptures just contain things about halimbawa about faith, about worship. Actually, in Buddhism, you technically you cannot find those things, no, about worshiping this or that, no? Or having faith. Yes, you can sometimes, no, but it is different from the ones espoused by the other belief systems, no? Because there is no God, no. So they do away with that worship aspect. So the things that fill their scriptures are what should you do in order to become liberated, for example, in order to be well, to be good, no? The concept well, the term that we are always using. Puros ganon. In their arguments, they are similar to the Nyaya form of argument, to the Orthodox Hindu schools. Ganon din, na pareho. The forest is burning because it has smoke, like the burning charcoal that has smoke. Okay, pareho din. They have this idea, no, of cause and effect, no? Just like the Greeks, just like modern science, no? Which are also or have this strong element, no, or idea of cause and effect, no. Sa kanila meron din, no. And in English it has been translated into the term dependent arising. So all of the things that are impermanent are governed by this dynamics, no, the cause and effect. Actually, how they define impermanence is that an impermanent thing or entity would be something that is bound by space or time. That is a simple definition of impermanence to them. So all of the things bound by space and or time would be impermanent. So technically lahat na nasa paligid natin, pati tayo, would be bound by space and or time. And therefore, we are all impermanent, no, according to their perspective. And they have this term, no, emptiness, no? Emptiness. Pag sinabing empty, according to the Buddhist perspective, hindi nangangahulugang wala, no? Hindi ganun yung konsepto ng emptiness, no? Ng English word nila ng empty, no? Ang ibig sabihin ng empty ay empty of objective existence. Ibig sabihin, you're empty of being there all the time or all the while or since time began. You're empty of that. Okay? But you are existing. No? You're existing, but you are empty of really of this so-called objective existence. No? Because the reason why you are here is because there are causes that made you existent. Yan naman yung ibig nilang sabihin. Okay? So when you come across this word in Buddhism, huwag niyong isipin na nothing lang, ganon. Ha? That is not correct. So emptiness is not nothingness, and all phenomena external to the self is empty of objective existence. This can also be applied to the self, no? Selflessness and non-self. As being self is composed of body, your material body, feelings, perceptions, mental aspects, and consciousness. And these are products of causes and therefore are composite and impermanent. And therefore the self is empty of objective existence. So this is slightly moving towards the metaphysical already. No? But this is just to show you how other cultures see and think of the world around them. Diba? You should not only be limited to Eurocentric ways of thinking, no? Or maybe Greek ways or Roman ways, no? Pero it is also good to know about the other cultures of the way they see and consider things. Okay, to continue, the Buddhist has categorized phenomena into 3 types. They have impermanent phenomena, they have permanent phenomena, and non-existent phenomena. Pag sinabing impermanent phenomena, ito na yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina pa, no? Bound by space or time. Permanent phenomena is is not bounded by space or time. Can you give examples of that? Permanent phenomena according to the Buddhist worldview. Nakakaisip ba kayo nun? Is there such thing really as a permanent phenomena? Okay, so isipin nyo muna yon, no? And then thirdly, non-existent phenomena. Non-existent. A phenomenon that ever did not exist. No? Kasi yung permanent phenomena is existing and has been existing all along and will exist. Impermanent phenomena exists but has duration. Okay, so ito yung tatlong klase ng phenomena according to the Buddhist worldview. Okay, that is my last slide. Do you have any questions? Questions? Okay, questions? O malinaw ba o magulo? Or are you still there? Nandyan pa ba kayo?
Yes po, sir.
Okay.
Clear naman po.
Okay, so nandyan pa kayo. Ha? Okay, so at this point, I don't know if you have any questions or maybe you're still ruminating or doing whatever thing, maybe digesting the things I've said. I don't know. Okay, so time check, it is 4:05. No? But if you do not have any questions, so we will end this session here. And maybe in the next meeting or even through email, you can ask your question if you have or clarify things. Okay? Sige. So I have placed the group listings in the VLE, and if you have any violent reactions with it, just inform me through the email. because soon I will be putting out the mechanics of how we are going to choose the topics. Okay? Sige. So if you have no more concerns, thank you very much for attending this session, and I hope to see you again on the next session, which would be at 4:35 today. Okay? See you. You may leave the session now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po.